Welcome everyone to Crypto Bulls Club. My name is Soham. This is your daily Bitcoin news update and technical analysis. So, guys, in this session and today, we are going to discuss not only about the technicals, but also why today is going to be one of the most important days in the history of Bitcoin and why this could lay a foundation for the Bitcoin price going into the future. So, let's get started, right? Let's get started with the top 100 tokens and the market cap. So the market cap is up about 5.4 trillion, 5.4% in the last 24 hours. And if I were to talk about Bitcoin is up about 3.8%. Ethereum has strong is shown strong rebound. It's up about 8.3%. We are going to take a look at that as well. Also, BNB is up about 5%. And guys, as we have seen in this session, in these in this market cycle, that basically when Bitcoin tends to stabilizes a bit, tends to move sideways a little bit, that is when all the altcoins actually start pumping more and more. Okay, if I would talk about the top gainers of the day, then of course we have Theta Fuel, which has gained more than 42%. Waves has gained more than 32%. Loopring has gained more than 22.5%. Helium is up about 21%. Gala is up about 17%. SNX token up about 15.8%. Secret token up about 15%. And Polygon is also up about 14.7%. So, in short, this day has been pretty good for the top 100 tokens, right? And if you have to, if you have been following our channel, there are quite a few tokens here that we had strongly recommended. Like, for example, Loopring we recommended yesterday. We recommended Polygon. We recommended Ecomi also, which is up about 14.3% as well, right, guys? So this is extremely important. If I have to talk about the top losers of the day, then in the top 100, the top losers are Pocket Network down about 7%, Cosmos, which showed strong resistance, but it's currently down about 3.5%, and it's followed by Maker, which is down about 1.8%, and so on, right? Not much to speak about from the downside of things, right, guys? So if I were to talk about the Bitcoin price, currently it's at about $38,000, made a high of about 38,500 today. But yeah, it's seen a small kind of a small pullback right here. If we go to the hourly chart, you'll be able to see this very clearly what I am referring to. So this hour that we are seeing right here, this has shown basically a pullback. This is simply because look at this candle right here that we printed about in the last hour. That candle showed a lot of selling pressure at around 38,500. Okay, so in total it was actually making higher highs. Also, what I like here is that it created a sort of a inverse head and shoulder. If you guys see this was kind of an inverse head and shoulder that was getting formed right here. And if this is the if this turns out to be the neckline approximately, then our target to the upside, if we break towards the upside, could very well be around $40,000. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually more than $40,000. It's at about $43,000, guys. Okay, so this is extremely important pattern that we are seeing right here. Okay, this is important, and yeah, this is something that we can keep a note on the shorter time frame. But this session we are going to focus as always on the technical analysis, but we are also going to focus on the your fundamental side of things, right? Because today is a very big day, as I have mentioned in the title. If you have seen the title, you would be knowing that why today is going to be one of the most important days in the history, uh, possibly defining the the market cycle that we are in currently, not only for Bitcoin but also for the complete global stocks. Okay, global stock market as well. Why today is going to be very crucial. Okay, we are going to try to understand that aspect and that logic here as well, right? But before that, let's try to talk about on the daily time frame, I do not like this kind of a structure, to be honest. This is forming a bear flag. What do I mean by a bear flag right here? So bear flag is generally described as when we have a downward trend and then a few candles going up and forming a flag kind of a pattern. So if you are facing difficulty in understanding this, look at this pattern right here. This is the flag that we have right here. Okay, and this is the flag pole, right? This is the flag pole that we have. And yes, if we break to this to the downside, our price target comes to about 28,700, 28,500 approximately, right guys? This is important, but this is again from a technical perspective. But if we reach this price target again, this would be a lower low than the lows that we had back in June, right? And about a couple of sessions back, we had discussed about the flat corrections pattern, and we discussed that there's a high possibility that this time we may get a low which is lower than the previous one before we see a move to the upside. Okay, this is extremely important. If you guys can hear me, if you guys can watch me clearly, smash up the like button. Also let me know by commenting below right now. Okay guys, I really appreciate that. And if I have to talk about, basically the Bitcoin, technicals, then of course we are facing resistance at the 20, right, 20-day simple moving average. As I have discussed earlier, also we are facing strong resistance. This green line right here is the 20-day, of course, if you can see this clearly. And the green line currently, the 20 days currently coming in at about $40,600. We are about $2,000 short of it, right? And guys, we had been discussing about January 27th, January 26th, January 28th, and why this is going to be a very important day for the Bitcoin and for the complete cryptos aspect, right? The simple reason is the Fed meeting, which is scheduled later on today. If you are joining us from India, it is at 1:30 a.m. Okay, 27th, 1:30 a.m. is their time. And if you are in the US, it is 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, Central Standard Time, 2 p.m. is going to be the Fed meeting. And basically what we are expecting from the Fed meeting, and this is extremely important, guys, right? The technicals are fine. The technicals and the chart patterns are absolutely fine. But what I want to highlight to you is basically the importance of these fundamental things that surround not only crypto but the uh, complete market globally, right guys? This is simply because of the fact that if the Fed increases the rate of interest in the US, it is going to affect the market adversely. Why it is going to affect the market adversely? Because the cost of capital, since COVID times, there was basically there was a bond buying phenomena that was carried out by the Fed in the US, and that actually made a lot of money, a lot of cash available into the hands of the people. Okay, that was important. And what did they do with this cash? They were actually, with this cash, the people were actually putting in more and more money into the stock markets, into crypto markets. That is why you see, ever since, if you refer to any chart, let's say for example, this is the SPX, right? This is the SPX, and if you see right from here, this was a very sharp move right from the correction that we had, right? If you just see this, this was very sharp. If you look at Nifty also, like this is the Indian market, and if you just go to the weekly time frame, you will able to understand. Look at this kind of move, guys, right? This kind of move, ever since this pullback, this is some kind of a move which was not seen ever in the past. Trust me, this kind of move steep upwards movement was not seen ever in the past, right? And that is also very important to understand, right? And all of the markets, like if you refer any of these markets, so there was a correction here in the Nifty, there was a correction here in the SPX as well, after it made a high of on January. third, it has started seeing a pullback. If I would talk about the range, then it has seen a pullback of about 12%. Mind you, if we get a pullback of 20% in the space in traditional markets, it is considered to be a bear market. We already got a 12% pullback, right? If I would talk about Nasdaq is in seeing huge pullbacks, right? Nasdaq made highs of about 16,770 back on November 22nd, right? But after that, it has seen huge pullbacks. And if I have to tell you the percentage pullback, right, this is extremely important. The percentage pullback that Nasdaq has got was approximately about 18 or 19%, right? It was about 18% from the highs that it made in uh, late November, right? That was the time when it made an all time high. So this is extremely important. And you guys, I know for our for people who are following our channel, crypto is your space. You like crypto, but please understand that crypto is not isolated, right? It cannot be isolated, or it is not decoupled from the world market, right? In 2020, we saw a huge dump in the global markets, right? As you can see right here, in March 2020, it was a huge dump in the crypto in the traditional markets. You can take any market, you will see this kind of a dump, right? This dump was approximately about 35% in SPX, or the S&P 500. If I talk about Nifty, the drop was approximately about this was also about 35-40% move, right? Similarly, you can see in Nasdaq also, right? If you just go to the weekly, you will be able to see this very, very clearly. This, we need to understand that the markets are not decoupled, and it is extremely important, right? Each market is dependent on each other. And basically, in the Nasdaq also, you saw a 32% decline. If I have to talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin went from the highs of about uh, Bitcoin went from the highs of approximately about, I think, ten and a half thousand dollars. It went to about $3,500, right? So that was a kind of projection, correction that we saw, right? If I have to measure this very quickly, then you can see it right here. Okay, this is extremely important. You need to understand, right? For crypto, it was a drop of 63%, more than 60% correction in the crypto, in Bitcoin itself. Forget the others, right? Also, this is the reason why I'm repeatedly mentioning that markets cannot be isolated. Markets are dependent on each other. And on our channel, okay, we are a crypto channel, but our goal is to make you financially independent, financially more viable as well, right? And we are here to give you information about the global markets. And guys, today is extremely important. This is okay. If I the Indian market was closed today, but some good signs are coming out of the Nasdaq as of today, right? Because if we go to the daily time frame, Nasdaq, it dumped very hard yesterday. It dumped by approximately about it dumped about 3.5% yesterday, right? But if I have to talk about today, it has made up for that loss, right? It has made up for that loss that we saw yesterday. It is up about, yeah, it's up about uh, the same percent, 3.5% already, right? Then, and it's still 6 hours to go for the closure. What is important for all the members to understand is what exactly is the Fed deciding, right? On the on the larger picture, of course, I am bullish about Bitcoin. There is absolutely no doubt that I am 100% bullish about Bitcoin going into the future. But for the smaller time frame, whether we will be entering into a bear market, whether 69K was the top, or we will see a small consolidation here and then go up. This is extremely important. I showed you similarities with the S&P 500 on the monthly time frame, right? And mind you, these are taken into considerations only after the fact that if the external factors are constant. Please understand that this is extremely important. Okay, now, if any kind of external factors are not in favor of the sentiments of the market, all markets will correct. Okay, and why exactly is the Fed asking or Fed considering increasing our interest rate hike? It's simply because they are concerned about inflation, and as we know, inflation is not is not good for a certain degree of inflation is good, but inflation beyond a certain point is actually not very good, right? In the US, we have seen month on month it has gone to 7% approximately. I hear from people that the real inflation is a little bit higher than that. In India, the inflation is higher, it's continuously higher, and this is something which is of concern to the Fed, right? Because what is happening is the dollar is becoming more and more, it's losing its value by the day, right? It's losing its value to the day, and the Fed does not want that to happen, right? The Fed does not want that to happen. The Fed wants that the dollar should retain its value, and they are going to try their level best that it should retain its value going into the future. This is extremely critical, and that's why they are thinking of increasing the interest rate. What will increase of interest rate make? Increase of interest rate will actually make or cut out some supply of cash from the economy. That means, if there's a decline in the supply and the demand remains constant, the value for the dollar will go up. And if we take a look very quickly at the DXY, right, the dollar index, we have discussed this earlier also, that the dollar index and the Bitcoin are inversely proportional. At least that is what we have seen in the past, right? This is the weekly time frame, and this formed a beautiful double bottom right here, right? In 2021 May onwards, Bitcoin started going down, and the dollar has started pumping, right? This is important to understand. Now the Fed is actually wanting the dollar to gain its previous values, which we saw back in 2018 or back in 2016, 2017, right? If that happens, my friends, then of course for the short term we might enter into a bear market for the Bitcoin price, right? And what does a bear market for the Bitcoin price worst case scenario means? The worst case scenario for me is the 200 week, right? The 200 week is the worst case scenario as far as I'm concerned. Currently it's at about, I've discussed this multiple number of times, 19,450 approximately, and it might actually see some, there could be wicks going below it. Now people are telling us that, on an average we have seen 85% pullback in the Bitcoin price. Like if you see in the previous market cycles, and if you just measure Bitcoin from the previous market cycles, you will see from the top to the bottom it was a correction of about 85%, right? 84, 85%. If you go further back, then also what we will see is we did see another 85%, 86% pullback back in 2013. 2017 was no different as well. Now if that is to happen, if we are to get a 85% correction, then of course from the current prices, from the current highs, the 85% pullback would actually put Bitcoin at around the $10,300 mark. Is it something that is going to happen? I personally don't think so. I personally feel that a lot, Bitcoin has gained a lot of capital, a lot more money has gone into the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now a larger size than as compared to 2017, right? And a lot of institutions are involved. As we have seen, if whenever the price is going to these lows, institutions are keeping on buying, right? That gives me the feeling that actually what may happen is that Bitcoin may lose, okay, it will lose more than 60, 65%, right? But the figure that I am looking for is around 75% mark. Why 75% mark? Because if we take a look at the 75% from the current prices, now it would definitely be below the 200 week, that is for sure. It would come out at about 17,100, but this could actually be a wick on the daily candle as well, right? We might, just like how we had couple of weeks, wicks going below the 200 week, and then we saw great buying pressure. This is something which I feel is realistically is possible, right, guys, right? If I have to talk about from the broader perspective, then if this happens, then of course we can see some sideways movement for Bitcoin going into 2023 and probably into 2024. Okay, because 2024 is when the halving is the Bitcoin halving is scheduled, right? No one knows the date, but somewhere around June is going to be the halving, right? Or even before that as well. But 2024 is going to be the date, and as history tells us from the past that the Bitcoin halving marks the beginning of the bull market. It might not be the case this time around. We might not. As the market matures, it would be more and more difficult to understand the patterns of the bull and the bear market. But as of now, I think Bitcoin is yet to reach that maturity level that the bear market will not sustain for a longer period of time, right? If we are seeing a pullback on the traditional markets on the world stage, right, then Bitcoin will be no exception, guys, right? This is the simple reason why I asked you guys, do not, if you want to buy, you may want to go ahead and buy, but for me personally, I did not buy in this dip. I may lose out. That is a possibility. But I was waiting for this particular meeting, and I was waiting for the 28th of January. Why? Because there's a big options expiry. It may be very much possible that Bitcoin may come down to the 30,000 or the $32,000 mark once more, right? This is absolutely possible. Now, if I will talk about where Bitcoin could be heading right now, if everything is well and good, then of course what we can see is the 20-day, right? The 20-day, guys, could hold resistance. The 20-day, as I discussed earlier, is coming in at about uh, the 20-day is coming in at about the 40,500 approximately. Yeah, about $40,600. That is where I feel the next resistance will come into for the Bitcoin price, right? And but mind you, again, I'm repeating these things. These are technicals based on the condition that the external factors are constant, right? Or no major external picture comes into the, basically, uh, no extreme external condition is coming into the picture. If there is any extreme condition is coming into the picture, then of course we may see Bitcoin dump. Make no doubt about it, Bitcoin is not decoupled from itself from the complete global economy. Okay, it is an element of the global economy, and as we all know, the US is the major country which drives the complete global economy as well, right? So this is extremely important. The Fed meeting is very, very crucial. It may define where Bitcoin could be going into the coming months, or whether it would be going up, whether it would see a move like this going into 2022, or whether it will see something like this going into the 2022 later on. So these two scenarios I think are possible, right? Another possibility is that it may move sideways with a bit dips right here, and going up again and then moving sideways as well, right? So these two three scenarios are possible according to me, but the Fed is extremely important, guys. What do they decide? But if history is any indication, now over the last decade, the Fed has, basically, they have not fulfilled what they committed, right? Multiple number of times history tells us that the Fed said that, okay, we are going to do this, we are going to do that, then they stepped back from doing it, right? Today's meeting is going to be the time when the announcement comes, probably at around 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Then it's going to be important, because if you might sleep with Bitcoin at around $38,000, and if the Fed says that no, we are not going to curb the Bitcoin price, not going to curb the bond buying process, or the interest is not going to increase, then you might expect, you might get up in the morning and you can see Bitcoin trading at around 40, 41,000, $42,000 as well. If you see, on the contrary, that the Fed has announced that basically, we are going to stick by what we've committed, and we are going to increase the interest rate starting from March, then what we can expect is you might see Bitcoin at 38,000. You might wake up and see Bitcoin below 32, 30, below 30,000, at around 33, 32,000 as well, right, guys? This is important. If I will talk about the Indian market today, the was closed, but if the global markets are any indication what the markets are expecting. Now for the Nikkei, which is the Japanese exchange. Now we will take into consideration the some of the largest economies in the world, right? The Nikkei actually plummeted today, right, guys? The Nikkei actually plummeted today. If you just see here, it was our downside movement. If I have to go to the daily time frame here, you will be able to see it very clearly. And yeah, it came down. It came down 120 points, about 0.44%, right? This is crucial. If I have to talk about the current, the sentiment in the US, the current sentiment in the US is fine. The current, if I will talk about the S&P 500 for the day, S&P 500 for the day, then it's like it's gained about 42%, about 42 points rather, right? So this is again crucial to understand. This gives us some indication of what the Fed might actually do in going into today's meeting, right, guys? This is extremely important. And if Nasdaq also, if you take a look at Nasdaq as well, then Nasdaq after yesterday's loss has started pumping up a little bit, right, guys? If you can see this clearly, uh, right? This is important to understand right here, right? And yeah, extremely important. So uh, this is something that we need to take into consideration, right? So if you have to take my opinion, if you have to take my session, what I am doing, of course, I don't have any leverage positions open. That is number one. Number two, what I have also done is I have a few, you know buy orders placed at around $32,000, $31,000. Let's see if the Bitcoin price goes there. And always, one thing I would like to recommend to you guys is that never ever burn out your entire capital. Always have a little bit of capital with you, right? This is extremely important, because you might never know if let's say for a brief moment of time that Bitcoin goes to the lows of about 10,000, or let's say $25,000. Let's assume it goes to $25,000 for a brief period of time. You should be able to buy. Like for me personally, I will be buying. I mentioned to you, I'll be buying at the 200 peak. But if it goes below that as well, possibly I might buy even more, because I believe in Bitcoin, right? This will be a temporary, correction, if it happens at all. If it happens at all. Now, this might very well be the case that, this move that we have seen right here, we could actually see, just Bitcoin just go past these moves and come down and again continue its rally to about $100,000. This could very well be the path for the Bitcoin price as well. But what is the most likely scenario? What the global markets are indicating? It's indicating that basically, the Fed is going to increase the you know is going to increase the interest rate, and the bond buying process is going to be cut as well, right? They are going to cut down on the bond buying process and supplying cash into the economy. Because guys, we have discussed this in the past as well, right? Look at this money, dollar printing index, right? The supply of dollar, it has gone up. Look, from February 2020, right? This has gone to crazy levels. This has gone absolutely crazy, isn't it? Look at this. There was a little bit of decline here in May, June, and we all know what happened to Bitcoin then. Now, if there's a little bit of a small kind of a pullback right here, and if it continues to be like similar to this and it cuts down, then of course Bitcoin is going to struggle, guys. Now, these are all macroeconomic factors. Please understand these factors. These are extremely important factors, right? These are extremely important factors, because these factors will determine how people behave, right, guys? And with interest rates going high, people will absolutely prefer keeping money in their savings account rather than actually putting it into any asset category, isn't it? That is something that we need to understand. Also, one thing that we need to keep an eye on is the exchange balances of Bitcoin as well, right? I am not selling even 0.001 or 0.0 0.0001 of my Bitcoin here, right? Absolutely no question of selling, right? I have converted, as I've mentioned, few of my altcoins into Bitcoin. I have only about 3 or 4 altcoins right now. Possibly, depending on the Fed meeting, then I might decide what I need to do. Right? I'm not gonna be doing an immediate knee-jerk reaction tomorrow. Rather, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for 28th, last Friday of the month, and see how it goes from there. If we see that the market sentiments globally are good, then absolutely we may think of buying into some altcoins, maybe some Bitcoin. But if we see the global sentiments are going down, possibly I will put buy orders at lower levels. This is important to understand. And absolutely, as promised, I will share with you what are the levels that I have my buy levels. Right? This is absolutely a commitment from my side, and I will fulfill my commitment. If I will talk about the daily volumes are okay. It's not that great, not that huge, or not that amazing, but volumes are fine today. Of course, you are seeing a lesser volume simply because of the the anticipation of the Fed meeting, what exactly the Fed are going to do. But there's still about 8 hours to go for the daily closure, and don't be surprised, guys. Don't be surprised if the Fed decides to basically not hike the interest rate, or do not comment anything on this aspect. Then do not be surprised that if today also, towards the later half of the day, right, probably it could be midnight for us or early morning for us, then Bitcoin could see good volumes coming into the picture. If we see the Fed deciding and openly announcing that okay, the interest rates are going to be increased, do not be surprised if this big green candle today, right? Today has been good. It's been about, we have seen about 4.5% move, right? It opened today's candle opened at about $37,000. Don't be surprised if this turns out to be a red candle. Again, I'm telling you, these are macroeconomic factors, and you need to take into consideration for deciding the strategy for your portfolio. Now, for me personally, I am looking to get into crypto full time. I'm not yet full time into crypto. I'm looking to get into crypto full time, and these are some of the things that I need to take into consideration while deciding on my portfolio. And if you are also thinking of doing this full time, or if you know even if you're not deciding to do it full time, even if you just want to build a good portfolio, take these factors into consideration, and this is extremely important, right? Okay, so we'll take a couple of questions. If we have any questions, then we will take it from there. So Avengers, hello Avengers, has a question that will we go to 40K again, my friend? As I mentioned, I think 40,500 is the 20-day. It's the resistance, depending a lot on the external factors. Nirmal has mentioned that he had purchased Meta Hero. Again, Nirmal, I had discussed about Meta Hero. I understand it is down considerably, but again, it's the macroeconomic factors which will determine which way it will go. Right? I discussed about Meta Hero yesterday. If you want me to discuss again, I will. I'm happy to do that. Just give me your buying price and just give me your buying price, and possibly I will look at uh, basically recommending what we can do, right? Simply, if if that works out for you, that would be great, right, guys? But what I feel right here, this is a continuation pattern, nothing much. The volumes are also down, considerably down. The volumes are not much volume coming in. This here, the volume was huge back in November, and right, this is when most of the people would have bought. I personally bought at about, hmm, I don't know, probably 9 10 cents, 9 cents. Uh, Possibly sold off a few at around these ranges as well, right? This is also important. And but I feel this is a continuation pattern. We might continue going down, right? For Meta Hero, if you are seeing a pump in the Bitcoin price in the metaverse, then of course on the 20-day could be a resistance at about 90, at about 9 cents. And I believe you would have bought it at about 12 or 13 cents. If that is the case, then either you can consider changing it to possibly into BTC or Ethereum. If you just take a look at here, there's no chart for BTC, Hero BTC. Okay. No, I don't find a chart for Hero BTC, but you can actually look at KuCoin. If you can convert your Hero into BTC, that would be good from your perspective, right? Any other question, guys, or we are good to go for today? I'm watching this like a hawk. This is extremely important. I mentioned this multiple number of times that 26, 27, 28 of this month is going to be extremely important, and that is what we are looking at, right? All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this content, this was a an overview of the larger picture, the macroeconomic picture, and we will take a look as to how and what the Fed decides. Right, this is extremely important. Depending on what they decide on, possibly we can see uh, Bitcoin takes its next path, whether it will be up, whether it will be down. Anyways, we are with you all along the journey. If it goes down, we will be buying and DCing into Bitcoin and others as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay blessed, stay happy, take very good care of yourself. Share this video with your friends and family. And this is very important, guys. If you have youngsters in your family, do share this video, because this video will give them an understanding of the macroeconomic world and make them understand how the world actually works. So if you have youngsters in your family, I strongly recommend you share this video, and if they have any questions, you can always shoot out to me as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye for now.